Leading to my next question, which is, I know it's a bit broad question, but what trends you see in the market?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'll come back to it. We're the World Broadband Association, so the world is a mixed place. There are parts of the world, the developed world is a good shorthand for it, where broadband is well established, fiber is well established, and what we're seeing now is a gradual and reasonably rapid growth from GPON to XGS-PON, 10 gig, 50 gig GPON, and we're seeing that in GPON is for sure it's table stakes everywhere in the developed world, but pretty much 10 gigs is now becoming table stakes for the more advanced economies. And you see economies like Singapore, Saudi Arabia, China that are pretty much mandating 10 gigs as the baseline. Last week I was in South Africa launching our broadband investment guidebook for Africa. And in many cases, broadband is at a very early start of the curve, and typical broadband speeds are tens of megs, even less than tens of megs. And then, of course, in the big cities and so on, you tend to see something closer to the developed economies. So in parts of the world, it is really getting started on broadband and getting started on significant fiber rollout. And that's probably because, I mean, if you think of the West has had communications solidly for the last 100 years. And so it had copper networks. And then it rolled out mobile networks in the 90s and, the noughties and so on. But there was always still a mindset of copper networks, and there was ducting in the ground and so on. And so the migration towards fiber was more obvious. Whereas in a lot of the developing world, it really leapfrogged over a fixed network and jumped straight into a mobile network. I mean, in terms of scale, in the 80s and 2000s and so on. And moved very rapidly in terms of capabilities in mobile. And it's really only over the last 5 to 10 years that the realization, I think, has become widespread in the developing economies that relying on mobile is not going to be enough for the types of services that are coming down the road for closing the digital divide. It closes the connectivity divide, but the digital divide keeps widening.